Today we're going to read Greenland and Iceland. Greenland and Iceland were settled by Vikings and have legendary tales about the origins of their names. However, you may be surprised by the differences between these two lands. How Iceland got its name. In 867, a Viking named Floki sailed from North Norway, hoping to reach an island he'd heard about from another Viking who had landed there accidentally when his ship was blown off course. Tragically, Floki's daughter drowned during the journey. The livestock he'd brought to the island died of starvation. As cold temperatures stretched into spring, Floki climbed a mountain to look for signs that milder weather was on its way. Instead, he saw inlets filled with icebergs. He named the country Iceland after his icy view. Floki was eager to return to Norway. He told everyone back home that Iceland was a terrible place and not to bother settling there. How Greenland got its name. The naming of Greenland is attributed to Viking Eric the Red. Eric was originally from Norway. However, in 960, when Eric was 10, his father was banished from Norway for having committed a number of crimes. Banished means that he was turned away and to never return again. Eric's family moved to Iceland, where despite Floki's negative reviews, Vikings had been settling there for nearly 100 years. In 982, Eric himself was banished from Iceland for 3 years. He sailed west for 900 nautical miles before reaching the coast of an icy island. On the southern tip of the island, he found a few spots with enough vegetation to support raising livestock. After 3 years, Eric returned to Iceland. He wanted to convince people to leave Iceland and settle on the new land he discovered. Unlike Floki, he bragged about how great the island was and gave it the favorable name of Greenland. Are their names misleading? Despite its name, only 11% of Iceland is permanently covered by ice. Much of Iceland's landscape is grassy pastures and moss-covered lava rocks. It's possible that Floki didn't see much of the greener land when he was in Iceland. On the other hand, more than 80% of Greenland is covered by polar ice cap. Research suggests that Greenland's climate may have been warmer long ago. Thus, Greenland may actually have been greener when Eric the Red discovered it. So, we're going over compare and contrast still, and we're going to read the directions. Read the passage Greenland and Iceland. Write down any similarities and differences between these two lands. So we have Greenland on this side, Iceland on this side, and then we have our similarities. So things that are the same. So you're going to find, I want you to find 2 things at least that are different. Try to find 2 things at least that are different. And then I want to see if you can find 2 things that are the same. And if you need help finding that, go back into the text. And if you need me to reread it, go back and go through it. And then highlight wherever I read that was a difference or a similarity. Especially focus on down here. Okay, you can find several different things. I see 3 things right just by looking at it with the numbers that will help me with the differences. List key words and phrases from the passage that show the text structure is compare and contrast. If you look at our notes that we took, look for any of these words. Compare, contrast, both alike, same, different, however, and on the other hand. Look for any of those keywords, and if those are in there, then you can write that right here. What was the author's main purpose for writing this passage? We'll start with restating the author's purpose for writing this passage was to think of pie, persuade, inform, or entertain. Persuade, inform, entertain. Now I want you to remember that persuading is if you're trying to make someone believe you, so that one island is better than the other. And think about, are they doing that in this passage? To inform is to give you information. A lot of nonfiction texts like this one could be to inform. And then entertain is going to be fictional stories, so they have characters. Does this story have characters where they're going and doing things? Does it tell it in a sequential order? Does it do anything special like that? So you're going to go through and decide which one of these fits best in here. By the way, each one of these is worth a point. This answer is a point. If you don't answer this, it's a point. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is a point. Then I'm also going to be looking at if you've highlighted in the text or even underlined. I'm okay with highlighting or underlining things that you found that are different between the two, and then similarities. You could also highlight or underline the keywords here, and you can also highlight and underline what told you that this was either persuading, inform, or entertain. Remember, please don't interrupt any of my groups. If I'm at the back table, turn this in with your name at the top. And please make sure it says your name at the top. And if you listen to this whole video, I want you to write, blue is Miss Hedden's favorite color. Spell it the best that you can at the top for an extra 5 dojo points.